Unscripted.
You know, a lot of the time I'll bring up that it seems like that Microsoft isn't trying when it comes to their next generation console, and a lot of people will kind of take offense to that, right? And they'll take offense to it, and one of the reasons they'll take offense to it is they'll say something like, well, they just bought all these studios, right? That's like the 23 studios. They got 23 studios. I mean, they keep throwing this fact up in my face as if that's them actually trying in the console space. I think that what Microsoft is doing is sort of biding their time in gaming until they can become like this third-party multi-platform app on, you know, eventually on everything, on PlayStation consoles, Xbox consoles, or Nintendo consoles, PlayStation consoles, PC, televisions, where have you, phones. I think that that's their ultimate end goal, and I think that they'll probably get there sooner rather than later. And, you know, I think that having the studios, if they really want to be quote unquote the Netflix of gaming, that doesn't require their own box, and I think they're just doing that to appease some of the hardcore that maybe have stuck around or whatever. I can't imagine the amount of hate that Microsoft would get if they just said, hey, no consoles and we're just going to be an app on everything from now on. I think that I think that at that point they would probably lose what few fans that they do have. But, you know, just because they're buying studios doesn't make them in it to win it or trying to do something in the console space. If they really wanted to do something in the console space, obviously they would have done something in terms of actually getting exclusive games ready to go. And, you know, like I've said, I've heard it all before about how they haven't had enough time, and I kindly point to stuff like Horizon Forbidden West. It's going to be released 3.5 years later. Miles Morales released less than 2 years after Spider-Man. Ratchet and Clank releasing 2 years after Spider-Man. God of War Ragnarok releasing 3.5 years after the last God of War. So stuff can be done, at least stuff to where you can show some gameplay, and we haven't even seen a single stitch of gameplay from anything that Microsoft has really shown. They've shown off quote unquote in-engine stuff, but we haven't seen any actual gameplay, not even stuff from like Hellblade 2 or even the next Forza game. We saw some in-engine stuff, which is completely different. It's basically what CGI would look like in that engine. So I mean, it is not really impressive. Sony and Microsoft are both known to do that, and it's a way to sell people on, you know, pretty graphics and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, for me personally, it doesn't really move the needle much, because I believe it when I see it, and I want to see it for myself. And so I think that that's something that, you know, a lot of people are going to have to kind of bear in mind when it comes to me. But this video is going to be very interesting because I had some things that I wanted to point out, and we had some very interesting comments from a developer as well regarding the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. So stick around. What's up, everybody? Crapgamer here with Crapgamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I really do appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. It helps out the channel, and it means a lot to me personally. If you're looking for a way to help out my little crummy, crappy channel, the best way to do it, a simple like. It goes a long way, and it means everything to me. So please, if you find it in your heart to do that, I would definitely appreciate it. It does mean a lot. Thank you guys so much. And shout out to all the old subscribers, new subscribers, and everybody in between. I really do think you are amazing, and I really do appreciate all this love and support and stuff like that you've given us. So thank you guys very much. So when it comes to next generation, it was very funny to me because Take-Two was talking about it, and they were talking about the PlayStation 5 and what it's able to accomplish and how that's going to even sell more software. So they were talking about in a recent conference, the CEO was actually talking about what they have to experience and what we have to look forward to, and they says allowing them to get better graphics and resolution on consoles that are an order of magnitude more powerful than the Xbox One and the PS4. And the CEO said that with quicker load times, better graphics, better memory, and all the other enhancements that the PlayStation 5 brings to the table, consumers can expect better experiences overall with the games, which will in turn help them to buy more games. Now, obviously, considering the success of Take-Two games like Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, which obviously the former is making the cross-generational jump, they know all about having cross-gen games and how successful they can be. The most evident, clearly, Grand Theft Auto 5, which is at over 100 million played. But they also, interestingly enough, goes on to talk about how they aren't sold on subscription services and things like that, which I wholeheartedly agree with that. I've been definitely one of those people that said it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, I don't understand how this is going to work for big AAA games, and to that fact, they kind of stick to that point. Is okay. If you spend all that money, and the rumor is that they spent an insane amount of money on Red Dead Redemption 2, right? An insane amount of money to make that game. Maybe one of the most expensive games of all time. To release that in a service type situation, they would have had to have, 100 plus million subscribers, and even then, you would have been having to pay for everything else as well. Like, I personally, it's not really my thing. Like, I don't personally care. Like, I don't manage Microsoft's money, but I do think that the subscription services that people keep touting aren't exactly the end all be all when it comes to video games and video gaming and stuff like that. I do think that what we're going to see is a little bit more of the mix, because I think that when you look at the game division, where we see people, the divisional breakdown of what people are doing, like games that they're buying on Xbox versus PlayStation, many more are buying it on PlayStation, right? These multiplats, and I think that that's a bad thing for Microsoft. I think obviously, Game Pass has been probably a decent thing for some of the smaller titles, the AA's, the indies, and stuff like that, and there's a place for that. But I think that it really hampered something like Gears of War 5, and it probably will really hamper Halo Infinite. I'm looking to see how they casualize that as a game to draw in more people that maybe wouldn't want to play Halo before. So we'll have to see how that works out. We'll have to see how that kind of, how they can kind of change that, because what happened with Gears of War 5 is, they put in all this stuff to attract casuals, and casuals don't stick around in hardcore games very long. They get a couple of shotguns to the face or Nashers in the face, and next thing you know, they're out. You know what I mean? That's not fun for a casual gamer to go 0-10 and have that happen. So, you see that kind of happen. And Halo is a hardcore game. I'm the first to admit it. I suck at Halo. I still like to play it with friends, but I definitely suck at Halo, man. There's an art to it, and I don't have that art. You know what I mean? I suck. So it's just one of those things. Like, are they going to casualize it for me? Then they're going to take away from the hardcore fan that loves Halo and that has been playing Halo for many, many years. So we'll have to see how that works out. But you also look at ways that Sony is sort of outspending Microsoft in terms of even money on advertising and stuff like that, and they're continuing to do that into the new year. We're seeing many PlayStation 5 commercials. Meanwhile, we're seeing pretty much nothing on the Xbox side of thing, and that's really sort of a bummer. If you think about it, because at the end of the day, you need them to actually go out there and spend money to get sort of that mind share back. So PlayStation is spending more than 2 times the amount of money on ads and things like that. And before anybody jumps on me, listen, I don't care what anybody says, whether you're watching TV, whether you're watching Hulu, whether you're watching, no matter what you're watching, there's advertisements on there, right? You have to know how to reach your audience, and Microsoft's idea of reaching their audience is putting an advertisement for one of their games on their dashboard. Like, that's it, right? So who's going to see that besides somebody that's already, a gamer for them? Nobody. Sony, meanwhile, will put their stuff everywhere, and I think that that's probably the biggest difference between what they do and what Microsoft does kind of going forward, and hopefully we continue to see some growth there by Microsoft, because we don't want to end up seeing them kind of end up out of the industry or have something go wrong where they basically lose even more fans or things like that, because that's basically where we're kind of headed right now. It does look like Sony kind of has everything kind of bookended for right now. I mean, when you look at it, they've got 53% of the advertising money spent, over 26.2 million, compared to Xbox's 10 million. Clearly, people, hell, you even got Activision almost at 6 percent, at 3 million. So they're spending, a third of what Microsoft is spending, and Microsoft is supposedly supposed to be advertising an entire new console setup and Game Pass and stuff like that. But they do really kind of a piss poor job of that. So hopefully they can change that in the future, because I don't think anybody wants to see them go anywhere. You kind of need that competition going forward, and to see them kind of fall off as hard as they have lately, really kind of a bummer, to say the least. Hopefully they can fix that up. I've thought that they've needed a shake up in the advertising world for a while now, you know what I mean? So hopefully they can get that, because what they're doing isn't exactly working. But I would love to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions on this. Thank you guys so much for rocking out with me. Please have a great day. Rack 'em up. Game on. Crapgamer out.
Unscripted.